Good evening, boys. Happy evening to you. I hope you have a good night's sleep tonight. We're winding down the school year. Tonight I'm going to read to you Mumkin. Mumkin's a colt, a little horse. And Mumkin has the best message of everyone. I think Leo the Lop and Mumkin get the prize from me for the best moral and the best message. All right. The morning mist swirled and twirled in the hesitant breeze that always blew just after the sun had risen. They twisted in and about the gnarled old trees and stumps that surrounded the rippling grasses that seemed as a sea when the winds did blow. This place was called Middling Meadow. Middling Meadow was a wide and spacious land with natural borders of cedar and pine, meadow and mountain, and a twisty little stream. Makes me want to jump into it. In Middling Meadow lived a herd of small horses who roamed freely from one side of the meadow to the other as they pranced and galloped about. For the land was open and all the horses shared in all there was to share, from the sweet-tasting clover down by the stream to the honeysuckle vine that grew in great profusion in and around the aspen pine. Look at how cute they are. They're little horses. Mumkin felt that he knew where every succulent blade of grass grew in the meadow, and he was not about to share that with any of the other horses. Whenever he was eating and another pony approached, he would lower his head, flatten his ears, and squint his eyes to scare it away. The other ponies usually squinted right back, unafraid, and meandered off to munch another bunch of clover or honeysuckle vine. Mumkin hated sharing so much that he finally decided to do something about it. With his strong teeth, he began to drag sticks and twigs, branches and boughs from the forest. Pulling and tugging, he built a border of thicket and vine around what he felt was the most luscious part of the pasture. Was he being very nice? I don't think so. He built his border higher and higher until none of the other ponies could even look in. Then, at either end, he built gates that only he could enter. Mumkin paced his border, shaking his shaggy mane from side to side in great delight. Now, no other pony would be able to eat his luscious grasses. No other pony would be able to munch his sweet honeysuckle vine. This was his land, his very own part of the pasture. Mumkin was very pleased indeed. Mumkin was a stinker. Look how rude. We don't do that. That night, bathed in sparkling sunlight and beams from a bright silver moon, he slept in peace and tranquility. Well, almost slept, for he had to remain alert just in case another pony attempted to cross his border during the night. Though none did, he could hear rustling outside his walls. Mumkin became so worried that he paced all night long, trying to see what was happening beyond his walls. But he could see nothing at all, for you see, that bad thing about borders is that you have to build them so high that you cannot see beyond them. And that's what Mumkin had done. The next morning, Mumkin woke just as the first rays of bright light stabbed their way through his border of thicket and vine. He looked quickly around to be certain no one had entered during the night. Sure enough, Mumkin was all alone. Every blade of grass was safe and his alone. He kicked his heels and reeled about his private land, spraying rainbow showers of morning dew. He nibbled a bit of breakfast, then decided it was time to dash to the stream for a drink of water. So after he made sure that his walls were safe and secure, he slipped through his border gate to go to the creek. Much to Mumkin's surprise, the pasture of the day before was now nothing but a series of borders of thicket and vine. For during the night, as he slept in his borders, the other ponies had built walls of their own. Now there was no open space to roam free. Mumkin wandered around in circles trying to find the stream, but in this maze he could find nothing but border upon border. He tried over and over to slip through one border or another, but at each there was an angry pony with ears flattened, glaring and warning him back. Oh, this isn't a good story right now, is it? What's going to happen? Amid the maze of borders, Mumkin could not find his own tiny land and was lost in walls of thicket and vine. Round and round he ran, then walked between and through the borders until finally he found himself on the narrow trail that reached to the very top of Middling Mountain. Certainly, he thought to himself, if I get high enough, I will be able to spy my own borders. But no matter where he looked, he could see nothing that looked familiar. Finally, he climbed to the very top of the mountain, to the place where even clouds refused to go. Here he stopped to rest, for he was very, very tired. Sorry, boys. Mumkin looked down at all there was to see. He looked once, twice, and then again, for from the great height he could see nothing of the borders that he and the other ponies had built. As far as he could see, there was only the middling meadow as it had been created, without walls, without borders. He stood there looking for a long time, until the tears of regret for what he had done dripped slowly from the corners of his eyes. What a fool I've been, he said as he reared in anger. We must all share this meadow together. And he raced down the steep rock path with his flaxen mane snapping like a whip in the wind. Tears streaming down his face, Mumkin tore at his border of thicket and vine, scattering his walls into the wind. When the other ponies saw what he was doing, they too began to destroy the evil that they had created. Middling Meadow returned to the way it had been intended to be. Well, almost as it had been intended, for one gray, greedy mare had left up her border walls. She continued to peer out nervously, afraid that someone might sneak into her section of the meadow. And there she stayed as the others played, trapped by the fear of losing what she thought belonged to hers alone. You see her over there? So the moral, boys, tear down your borders of thicket and vine, creating a free world, yours and mine. We don't build borders, boys, do we? We're all God's creatures and God's creation, and God didn't make junk at all. God made everyone beautiful and everyone special, and we are to be who God meant us to be so we could set the world on fire. So boys, this is the story for tonight. I want to invite you to drive down harbor sometime with your family and look at our big new banners that show our 8th graders who are graduating. Pray for them and have a good night tonight. God bless you.